show you how to bone out a forequarter and the cuts that you get out of the forequarter, and obviously the loin here, which John described. We've got the mid loin. Oh no, we've got the rib loin, sorry, as you see the ribs going through here. And then the mid loin, where the ribs stop here on the rib cage. And that's the mid loin because it contains the eye fillet as well, the pork fillet. So if you were to cut one of those, what would you get in beef terms? If you were to dish up one of those with the porterhouse and the eye fillet, what would that be? Yeah, T-bone. Okay. So the principles are all the same, whether it's beef, pork or lamb, like especially the pork and the lamb. Like you bone everything out exactly the same, it all has the same bone structure. But obviously with beef, it's just on a larger scale, but all of the different types of cuts that we're doing today is the same principle when it comes to doing beef as well. So I'm just going to start off and start with the shoulder. I'm just going to bone that out. So this pig here took about 6 months to grow from a weaner. And the other thing is too, if you're looking at owning your own restaurant further down the line, by getting in some of these cuts from your butcher and know how to bone these out or deal with them, you can actually save yourself a lot of money, as opposed to buying them in already specially done.
I mean, right now, you could use pork spare ribs for that? Just come out there?
You can do. You can use the shoulder bone here for pork ribs, but mainly when I come to the belly, that's where you get your better cut ribs from.
Okay.
But you can use those. So I'm just going to remove the blade bone.
How sharp that knife is. Exactly what is that sharp?
See this one here, when I've broken it open, I'd say it's actually suffered a bit of bone damage, obviously at the abattoirs.
Oh, really?
When it was getting killed, you can see the congealed blood in there in the middle. So obviously it didn't want to go up the race to get slaughtered.
Oh.
I'm only guessing.
We're all shedding a tear now, Stephen. Thank you for that. Don't refer to it as brave, alright?
But all our pigs come from actually pig accredited farms, so they are pretty much tightly audited.
Not held in cages.
Well,
oh, here we go.
You're not going to go eat this.
the thing is, what people don't realise is that when a sow has its babies, it needs to be in a sow stall,
Yeah.
because they can actually roll over and do damage to their young ones.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for it. It's not because they want to purposely cage up a pig. It's actually for that reason. Otherwise, they would actually
But that's
would actually
your
have
own
more.
little room, mate. You wouldn't have a whole bunch of them together.
We've got a cloth.
Can I ask you a question? How come Mad Butcher is importing...
That's a dirty word in here.
Sorry, I know, I always go to Kiwi Butcher, but I noticed that they'd imported American pork.
Are you on their last special?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Why was... Somebody said to me it's because we've dropped out of the pork industry.
To be honest, we actually I don't really get offered too much. Well, I do get offered it, but I don't really buy it. The trouble is that with your goodies like Mike King and these animal activists who actually break into these isolated farms,
Yeah.
like are actually, like really they don't portray the industry
In a true life.
as in a true way. Like it's a minor thing. It's like one restaurant in town that could be serving up crack food and letting everyone else down. Well, it's the same principle sort of thing.
Yeah.
With these new laws that they're putting on the pig farmers,
Yeah.
because the pig farmers have always struggled in recent times with making money, people are just walking away because of all these new laws, how the pigs have got to be looked after.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's driving a lot more imports because simply we're just not going to have enough pork to go around.
That's scary.
And it's gonna get worse. Like the price of pork is just gonna skyrocket within the next 5 years.
And yeah, that pork is our cheapest meat to feed. You can get a roast pork and feed your family, whereas back in my day it wasn't. We used to have roast lamb every Sunday.
Oh, all the time.
It is at the moment, but I guarantee you it won't be within 5 years.
Oh, really?
That's how bad it's gonna get.
Oh, you've got to go vegetarian.
I don't know about that, but
Does anyone knows what this is called? It's a pork hock. Okay. So what is this called if we were to put it in brine and soak it in there and smoke it? What would it become?
Yum.
Bacon hock? Yep. Alright, so that's how we get our bacon hocks.
So brine is a salt solution, salt and water solution. For those that didn't get that question right last week, okay, and then smoke.
But back to your question about the imported pork.
yeah. Only because I nutted off in the store too, like, you know.
Oh, so you do shop there?
No. I might as well just hang myself now.
Okay, so I'll get back to the question in a minute.
Yes,
What
sorry.
I'm removing here is the Scotch fillet, which is your ribeye.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there's your pork ribeye. And then what's left, I'm just going to score the skin. I'm not actually cutting through the skin, I'm just marking the outside.
Because you would normally wear gloves, those steel gloves, eh?
My butchers do, but I've always not worn one. So if you start wearing one, that's when you have to.
Always
Shit,
wear it.
I knew I'd forgot something. You got any string up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you start wearing one,
The next part of that question though. So if you start wearing one.
if I start wearing one and then I take it off and start doing something, I'm likely to cut myself because you're being a little bit lazy.
Oh, I can understand.
Yeah. But you see, I've got no cuts on my
No,
fingers.
that's what I was looking at. You've got all your fingers.
Yeah, exactly. So getting back, where were we up to on the American pork discussion?
Why
So
it was
we
coming
get-
in.
So New Zealand gets offered a lot of cheap pork. We see a lot of pork ribs coming in from Finland. You've probably seen those around before.
No.
Any of you guys in restaurants already helping out? What about to you? Oh, the Mitre 10 one. Oh, yeah. No, nowhere else? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll tell you, a lot of pork ribs. A lot of pork ribs are coming in from Finland.
So Lone Star would have them, say,
Possibly.
Yeah, Tusker?
Yeah.
because they're American.
They're coming from Finland.
Yeah, there's a lot of pork we get from Finland, but most of it's manufacturing pork. When I say manufacturing pork, I mean like middles for bacon, bellies for streaky bacon. But in saying that, we do a lot of business with Bidvest, and like they'll bring in a pallet of pork loins for chops, and we'll cut them up on the bandsaw for them. So there's a lot of pork loin chops. When I say pork loin chops, like these chops, coming in from Finland as well.
Wicked.
But
manufacturing bacon will be a bigger pig, bigger breed wise, bigger, fed up.
Yeah. So going back to the animal activists and all that kind of stuff,
So
I think New Zealand, in terms of how we grow our pork, is pretty good compared to the standards you might see in Finland and America. But yet, these activists don't say anything about the pork coming in, do they?
No.
Yeah.
No. So they really need to just button up.
Yeah.
Because they're ruining our pork industry.
Yeah. Honestly, they're killing the pig farmers. Like I said, come and talk to me in 5 years' time about pig prices, and they'll be skyrocketing.
What are the New Zealand Kiwis going to eat then? Because we always get the shittiest of the shit, don't we?
But it's the same as now, you know, Russia's not buying from Europe. There's a massive amount of stuff going to start flooding all the markets.
Yeah.
Because Russia's not buying it, so everybody else is, you know, it's going to drive prices down so people can sell their pork and things like that.
And is that, you know, like having pigs on your farm and not manufacturing them, but you know what I'm saying, is that like the criteria quite hard? Like, could I grow pigs in my backyard with the criteria that they recommend?
No, you have to be pretty well set up. And to make pig farms profitable, you need to be on a big scale.
Yeah.
Like you need to be growing literally hundreds of pigs.
But what if you only want to grow like a couple of pigs a year, just for the freezer?
If you want to, you can do whatever you like yourself.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we can still do that, though.
I think it's bloody.
Because we got plenty land.
Okay, so anyone can tell me what this is? Pork belly? Okay. So in your restaurants, like a lot of restaurants around town here, sell lots of pork bellies. And how do you cook it?
Both.
You guys are chefs.
Both.
But it's a slow cooking meat, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much to it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
rendered you're absolutely right.
So if you're working in a restaurant and you sell pork belly and you sell pork ribs, well, you could ring me up and say, hey look, I want to, after seeing you, I want a whole pork belly with the bone in.
okay.
And the reason why is because you can save yourself a couple of dollars a kilo, and then if you got pork ribs on your entree, well, you've already got your ribs here. And all you got to do is put your knife through it. And there's your pork ribs. So like I said, you can impress your boss and say, hey look, let's get some whole bellies in.
Yep.
And as you saw then how easy it was to bone it out, eh?
Oh, you made it look easy. Now we're talking. Yes.
Okay,
The shops.
so this here is the mid loin. It contains the pork fillet, which is easy to bone out, as you saw there. And actually the other end of the fillet is actually still in the leg of the pig, joins on there. So you've still got the end of the fillet in here to take out.
So if somebody wanted pork fillets,
That's what it is.
you'd only be selling a short leg of pork because you'd have to go quite deep to get those pork fillets out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lately in the shop I've been cutting a pocket in these and putting some apple and stage stuffing in them, and then wrapping around bacon at each end, and they've been selling really good.
Fillet of any animal, whether it be beef or pork or even lamb, basically it's one of the tenderest cuts because it sits right under that bone. It's got no work to do, it's got no movement, it's just absolutely tender. Whereas like the shoulder of an animal, there's movement.
Yeah.
Where there's movement, there's sinew, there's muscle, there's
Okay.
cartilage, okay? And so it's not quite as tender, but pork, any fillet is tender as.
Do you know what that is, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a pork backbone. Okay, good for your ball ups. So here I'm left with a pork loin. We supply a lot of these to Lone Star, but the loins they get have the belly attached. Okay, so all that is like that, if you can get what I mean. So I can do a couple of things with this. You can either turn it into a roast, or we sell them as pork sirloin steaks in the shop.
Oh, that's the one.
That's not bad, is it? That's up there.
Oh,
Or if you wanted to, for one of your menu, you could actually do like a pork butterfly steak, and one of those would be a good portion on a plate. So you're giving people the perception that they're actually getting a great big chop.
Yeah.
Instead of having two single ones on the plate.
That's a lovely chip. I like it. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, I'm making me hungry. It's getting there.
So what I've got here now, you don't remember what this was called? The rib loin. Yep.
So you're going to get some chops out of there too.
Yep. Might do a roast out of this.
How many pigs would you butcher up on a busy day at the shop?
It can vary, but we go through about probably 20, 25 pigs a week.
Okay.
Of this size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beef?
We don't bone too much beef simply because of time.
Yep.
I normally get in like pallets of stuff.
Yep. And lamb?
Lamb normally about 20, 25 a week as well. So you noticed how I've only cut into the skin, I haven't gone through?
What do we call that?
Story.
And why did Stephen do that?
So you guys can eat your crackle.
Yes, that's the one.
And you can take it off quite easily as well. Okay, rather than take the piece off, it just comes away quite nicely when it's cooked.
We've actually been doing a rolled roast out of the leg in the shop when we've got excess legs to get rid of, and when I bone out the leg I'll show you what we do, and that's called a pork and crackle roast. And when you cut the strings off, the skin actually comes away, and then you can just carve your meat pretty easily. We supply a lot of this, what I'm doing here, but we actually remove the skin for them to the tree house. They probably take 8 whole loins of pork a week with us, but they go through a lot of pork.
Yeah. They're doing some big numbers of meals now, the tree house.
Yeah, they're doing really well, but they're not cheap, but they do a really good quality food and a good amount.
A couple of weeks ago, and they no, I mean $17, $18 for what we had. You know, the wraps and they're full. You know, they're good, well presented.
They look small.
Yeah. So getting into the leg, there's 4 primal cuts of the leg. Like this here is your rump, so that's where your rump steak and that comes from. On here, when I remove it, is called your knuckle, which is where you get your schnitzel and that from. On here is your top side, and then on the back here, which you can't see because of the skin, is called your silver side. Where you get your corned beef, if it was beef. So what I'll do first is just remove all the skin. And so take note too, because how I bone this out is exactly how you guys are going to bone out your lamb legs after.
We're going to take the skin off.
No, you're not going to take the skin off the lamb legs. No.
It's just the fact that the skin is tougher, is it, with pork, Stephen?
Yep. If I take the skin off, it'll show all the cuts that I'm removing a lot easier to see.
Have you been a butcher a long time?
About 16 years now.
Well, that's fairly long. I hope you realise you're going on YouTube.
Everybody's on YouTube with this glass. He can't get away from this thing. I love it. Maple chef.
We better stop talking about the Mad Butcher then if I'm going to be on YouTube.
True that.
Any other questions?
Stephen, I've got a question, and this is more of a, from a professional point of view. I did a catering do, and we got 4 loins in. Now, they were all tied and stuffed with the skin on.
Where'd you get those from?
That's to be quite honest. I actually think I got it from you guys.
Is that the one you done last year?
The one, for Paul Beach's wedding, yeah. Now, what from a chef's point of view, I mean, I still crisped it all up, and took it all off, so it was fine. But, some chefs, most chefs prefer the skin off. Is that how it usually gets served? The loins?
Well, if you get a Lone Star, they serve it with the skin on. It really depends how it's been cooked. If it's been cooked really well, and you've rubbed your salt and everything else into the skin that comes out crispy, then I'd serve it with the skin. It's really a personal preference, really. I think if the skin hasn't cooked up properly, you're probably better to remove it. Yeah, because it'll just be chewy.
No, that's exactly what we crisped it all up. But it was, that's right. Yeah, that's right, because I put the stuff in there, didn't I? I made that's beautiful.
Okay, so take note here, this is how you're going to be boning out your legs of lamb. So I'm going down the hip bone here, down to the actual joint. Okay, so you can see how I've come down there and opened it up. Right.
What you did when you bone those chickens out around the joints? He was doing just the same on a bigger scale.
And you just follow the bone down. Okay. So you can see where I've come down from the top, come down to that joint, gone around the ball joint there.
How can you find the joint?
You'll better, as you go down, it will open up.
No, I mean if you just close the meat, we can't find where is the joint.
The thing is though, if you start from here, where the bone is, and work your way down, you'll get to that joint.
Oh, okay.
Like it'll open up like
See
that.
it then.
Okay. We'll pass that around if you want to and just have a look at the bone structure. And then starting at the top of the shank.
Is that known as the H-bone as well, Stephen?
Yeah, that one there is, yeah.
A-I-T-C-H.
Okay, so you see I'm starting with, you can see the bone here. I'm starting on this side as opposed to this side where the meat is. Okay, because all that meat there I want to stay attached coming down. So starting on this side where the bone is. And then you've got to go around that knuckle joint there. So that's basically the knee joint. Okay, so you can see I've come down and around and then back. And so when I get to here, all I'm doing is using about that much of my knife, okay, to go down the side of the bone to clear off the meat away from the bone. So you can see here all the meat coming away from the bone. Okay. So when you've gone down as far as you can, you come in from the other end and just go around the joint. And then if it's all freed up, It'll come out like that. So when you finish your lamb, that's the bone. You will see. Okay. So if you want to hand that around as well.
These churros look nice. Yeah. Big churros.
Because it's only one side. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about the other end of the pork fillet before. That's the other end that I've just taken out. And that there is called the butt fillet. Okay? It's called the butt fillet because it's actually inside the butt, the leg.
The butt fillet.
Make sense?
So would you sell that in the shop, Stephen? Would you sell that as
Just as a whole pork fillet, if that's for anything. Okay, so looking at the leg, I'm going to remove the rump. Okay, so there's your rump. Same principle as beef. That's where your rump steak comes from. Comes from the butt end of the pork. You can slice this as trim pork steak.
Yeah, trim pork is different. There's trim pork's virtually fat-free. Is that right?
Basically, yeah.
So it's going to cost more. Trim pork will cost more because you're just paying for pure meat, no fat, no bone.
Okay. So what's that called?
Trim pork.
Rump. Yeah.
Rump steak.
Plum sauce. And rusty potatoes.
That's
So next I'm going to remove the knuckle. Which I haven't done that great a job.
Not bad.
But that's that's the knuckle there. It's normally a little bit bigger, but that's where your schnitzel and that comes from on your beef and that as well. And we can use that. We use that for dicing or trim pork steaks as well. Okay, next is the top side. Everyone heard of top side?
Yes. In beef, it's known as a second-class roast. So you can roast top side. You can also cut up a barbecue steak. Okay, marinated. It's called second class because it's not quite so tender as a first-class roast like sirloin.
Okay, so there's your top side. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the leg here, when I'm boning it, there's all a bunch of seams. Like the leg is all connected together by seams, so it's easy to follow.
Your top side, could you tie that up and serve as a pork roast, a small pork roast?
Yep, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it shortly. Okay, so there's your silver side. You can see the strip of silver going down the side there. And that's the same as beef, like on a smaller version. Like that's what we make corned beef out of, this cut here. It is quite a tough cut. Like we wouldn't cut it as trim pork steaks. We'd probably, if anything, dice it for orders, for your sweet and sour pork or something like that. But getting back to that roast I was telling you about that we do in the leg once we've skinned it. We'll actually just cut a piece of skin to size. Either just trim up the top side or the silver side, either. Just lightly score it.
Robin, do you want to put those bags out for us so we can bag this meat up when we've rolled it?
Here, over here, and
Oh, they're just in the cubby holes. Oh, sweet. Thanks, Robin. Okay, so that's the idea. So it's almost like a piece of crackling, just separate.
So there you go, you've got a boneless piece of meat with skin wrapped around it, so it won't get dry or anything when you cook it. Then once it's all cooked off and nice, all you do is pop your strings off, your skin comes off, and you got your nice piece of meat just to serve. Yeah.